Hello, and welcome to day 4 of NaNoWriMo. I'm Burgess Taylor, and yesterday I had a really crappy day. It was just, bleh. But I thought I'd start today out differently. Right now I am at 8,983 words. I am a little bit over 2,300 words for the goal. I have 1 hour left, and when I finish shooting this video, I'm going to go back to writing, and I'm hoping to get about 500 words, which will put me at like 9,500, which would be really good because as of right now, I could take Thanksgiving Day off as long as I stay on schedule, and if I can write more, then I'll be able to take the 29th off, which is a huge family dinner, sort of like a family reunion. Now, I changed things around yesterday, which is what I did right before the computer went kaput, haywire. I shouldn't say kaput because it worked. I didn't lose anything. Before things got conflicted. That's my word for this week, conflicted. But Stephen King points out, he says that plotting isn't really so trustworthy. And I'm beginning to really see, and I'm, as a former pantser, and I'm kind of a plotster, I plotted, and I like my main ideas, but I'm sort of rearranging things because I think I had too much backstory, and this is one of the things he says. As a reader, I'm a lot more interested in what's going to happen than what already did. Yes, there are brilliant novels that run counter to this preference, or maybe it's a prejudice. Rebecca, for one, A Dark Adapted Eye for another. But I like to start at square one, dead even with the writer. I'm an A to Z man. Serve me the appetizer first and give me dessert if I eat my veggies. Even when you tell your story in this straightforward manner, you'll discover you can't escape at least some backstory. In a very real sense, every life is in media res. If you introduce a 40-year-old man as your main character on page 1 of your novel, and if the action begins as the result of some brand new person or situations exploding into the stage of this fellow's life, a road accident, let's say, or doing a favor for a beautiful woman who keeps looking sexily back over her shoulder. Did you note that awful adverb in the sentence, which I could not bring myself to kill? You'll still have to deal with the first 40 years of this guy's life at some point. How much and how well you deal with those years will have a lot to do with the level of success your story achieves, with whether readers think of it as a good read or a big fat bore. Probably J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series, stories, is the current champ when it comes to backstory. You could do worse than read these, noting how effortlessly each new book recaps what has gone before. Also, the Harry Potter novels are just fun, pure story from beginning to end. Your ideal reader can be of a tremendous help when it comes to figuring out how well you did with the backstory. So, I'm at the backstory part. A little bit of my backstory is going to end up in my novel. Currently, my main character is sitting down at a diner across from her cousin, and I'm about to add in a little bit of backstory. Well, right before I'm going to, here we go. I'd spent more than a month grieving. After deciding I wouldn't get anywhere feeling sorry for myself over Grant's death and Adrian's betrayal, I called my cousin Micah and asked her to meet me at the boathouse for coffee. Micah's 4 years younger than me, my mother's sister, Shelby's daughter. There's backstory. The boathouse's outside patio area sits on the old river. I sat at a table inside that overlooked the river. Once Micah walked in, her shoulder-length light brown hair, almost blonde, cascaded across her face like a veil when she closed the door. I couldn't help but smile. She's been wearing her hair like that for as long as I can remember. After we hugged, she sat down across the table from me. "How are you doing?" Micah asked as she handed me a small silver-wrapped box. "Hanging in there," I answered. I took the box in hand, admiring the wrapping. "What's this for?" "Mom thought you might want this. It was your mother's." I opened the box, the pretty wrapping forgotten. Inside was a silver trinity knot with a beautiful ruby in the center on a long silver chain. It was gorgeous. The craftsmanship was intricate and detailed to the point that I knew it was an antique. Where did my mother get it? I asked. How did your mom end up with it? Micah waved at the waitress. First, let's order coffee and then I'll tell you everything. We both ordered white chocolate mochas. While we waited on our mochas, I asked Micah if she liked her job at the bank in Somerville. It's all right. The pay is good. Benefits are great. Hours are awesome, but I don't like the petty bickering or the competition, she said. Those women drive me crazy. They all think I want their job. I nodded. I inherited the Providence Herald from Gran. The managing editor said the secretary Gertie's retiring, and the feature writer left to go to work for a larger paper. I told her as the waitress brought our coffees. Thank you, Micah told the waitress, and I smiled and nodded at her too. I was wondering if you might want the secretary position, I said. The benefits are decent, and so are the hours, and you wouldn't have to worry about anyone bickering or competition. Secretary? Micah asked. She took a sip of her coffee and then wiped her mouth with her napkin. Her hands were pale, her fingers long and manicured. Micah had always been into looking as good as she could. Yes, though I have to tell you now that secretary isn't just answering telephones or typing. It's more like an office manager position, I answered. Gertie was a jack of all trades and a master of many around the paper, and from what I gather, it's going to be really hard to replace her. But if you're interested, then you'll have 2 weeks of training with Gertie before she retires. When would I start? Next Monday, which means you'd need to give your notice tomorrow. 1 week's notice is enough for most companies, so at least you wouldn't be burning a bridge with them. Micah smiled. Well, that would mean no more commuting to Charleston. Now, right at this point, which is where I stopped writing, she's only added in a little tiny bit of backstory. She's been grieving over her grandmother. She's been grieving over Adrian's betrayal. She's inherited the paper, and she needs to start putting more effort into it. It's her responsibility, and she has to do some things. So she's thinking her cousin Micah, who is a perfectionist, who is probably perfect for the job, and she knows Micah really hates commuting back and forth from the town, which is a made-up town. It's called Providence, from Providence to Somerville. Now, right where I ended, because I needed to kind of get what I wanted to say worked out in my mind before I started adding the backstory, because what I wrote in chapter 1 that I put to the back of my manuscript as backstory to kind of add those bits and pieces in as flashbacks, she's not telling anybody that Adrian cheated on her. She's actually experiencing it. So I have to figure out how to put that in without making it kind of sound like, you know. So that's my next scene, is where she actually talks about being betrayed by Adrian and what happened, because she caught Adrian in their apartment when she got home from her grandmother's funeral with their mutual friend. So she's heartbroken over losing her grandmother, and she's heartbroken over the breakup with a girlfriend because she cheated. She's trying to figure things out, and I'm having fun with this part. I'm really enjoying the writing of it, and although the back of my mind I have my basic, my plot structure, I can kind of play around with a few things. I have a list of what the obstacles are. I have a list of what this character needs to go through, but I don't have to put them in any specific order just because I outlined it that way. What I have to do is put him in the order that it needs to go for the character to actually develop. And I'm really excited, because to me, now that I've changed things around, it's coming together so much better. That's the pantser in me. It is. It is. So I feel a lot better. My daughter helped remind me that yes, I do, and I reminded other people too, but it's easier said than done when you're the one doing it. that I needed to drink more juice, that coffee is a diuretic, and that I love coffee. Had a pumpkin spice earlier. I made it at home. I even added whipped cream. I also had a large glass of Tropical Blend V8 Splash with dinner. And right now I am drinking Dr. Pepper. It's my glass. So I'm going to end this because now the video is getting kind of long. But on the end note, I just want to say that my tip for today's NaNoWriMo is to remember, it's supposed to be fun. Turn your inner editor off. Remember, off, no inner editor. And hydrate and save. So that's my tips for today. Happy nanoing.